go and see them. They're amazing.
Wow.
And so Anthony has Universalist. So he is kind of got the look of what Universalist looks like for men, because of course they don't really use the options that women use of covering up. And in fact, it can be really hard for young men to come to terms with it because they don't have those options. So, you know, perhaps, you know, in the evolvement of acceptance, there is a stage that needs cover up. I'm not sure. It's a debatable and person by person. But for guys, they often will present with areata, which is patchy, or there's actually even a stream of alopecia, which just affects the beard. Right. Yeah. There's actually 13 types of it.
Wow.
I know. There's actually 13 types of it, and I can't name them all because they're all long medical names. But that's one of them, is that they'll just get beard patches. And that's not as common, but I have actually met people that do have it. So it's out there. And so I don't know that the percentage between men and women is actually that different. It's just what we're aware of, because I think it is at this point in time more socially acceptable for men to be bald than for women. But it's starting to change. Like the women around the world, I've noticed in the last 2 years, there's so many more stepping out and standing up and sharing their stories. It's just fantastic. So things are starting to change. We're going to make bald another hairstyle that's rocking.
I am always excited whenever I see a bald woman, because I'm like, man, I don't got it. I don't got it. But she does.
Well, you don't know if you don't got it until you shave your head and try. And let me tell you a little story about that, because I have a dear friend who, when I started the Baldwarrior journey, she does not have alopecia. She had hair down to the middle of her back.
Wow.
And she agreed to shave it off as awareness. And we ended up shaving it live on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Now, this was phenomenal, because it was actually, she realized, a really, really scary thing to do, even though she was doing it by choice. And she was doing it for a great cause. She postponed it twice out of fear of not only how she would feel about herself, but fear about other people's reactions to her, especially in the workplace. And when she brought it up with her bosses that she wanted to do it, 2 of the big bosses in her company actually bullied her quite bad about it. It was very interesting. There was some nasty stuff going on, and she would tell me about it, and I would be like, gung-ho, I'm going in there. And she'd be like, no, calm down, not allowed to do that. So what ended up happening is the third time she decided to do it and went through with it, she just didn't tell them. And we did it, and we found this lovely hairdressing studio that helped us, and we filmed it all live on Facebook, and I think that video's had over 15,000 views now. It's a couple of years ago. And she rocked up to work on Monday, done. She was bald. And she'd prepared, she had like a turban and a scarf and whatever to wear. And she just went in there and she owned it. And those 2 people that had bullied her, basically their jaws dropped, and they turned around and became her biggest supporters. So they admired her bravery. But she said that the process of doing it and the aftermath of about the first week of how people treated her differently, she said, was really eye-opening. And the act of doing it herself, and looking in the mirror, have no hair, and even though hers grows fine, it was still very short for quite a while. She said it really helped her embrace self-acceptance in a new way that she hadn't, because she was so attached to this hair and used it as part of her femininity And when that was removed, it was quite confronting. So it was a really interesting exercise for somebody without alopecia to go through, to see some of what we face, but also to really face themselves and go, well, that was confronting, but now I know I have self-acceptance, whether I have long hair, short hair, black hair, white hair, curly hair, straight hair, whatever. Right. So anybody out there, like, I urge you, if you want to take your power back over something that's happening to you, go and shave your head. It will change your life.
You know, what I find interesting is all of the shame that I think, I mean, I'm sure that men feel it too, but I think we're inherently, as women, taught shame based on how we look.
Absolutely. Yes,
So
we are. And that was big for me.
It adds another layer to everything.
Absolutely. And when you're bullied at a young age about something to do with your body image as well, I think it does add a very big layer of shame in there, and a feeling of you're not good enough. And that is hard to shake. You know, it really just is. And it keeps coming back and lurking its head at the most inconvenient times.
Understand.
It's totally a thing. And it's something that I think we need to be aware of when we're talking to our children and younger people in society, that, you know, things shouldn't be about their looks. It should be about personality and accomplishments, and how they treat other people more than anything. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just absorbing everything. And so, what made you get a dragon tattoo? Was that
Great
your initial
question.
symbol idea?
Yeah, I always knew it was going to be a dragon. I've had people try and talk me out of it because I have a different tattoo with a dragon and a tiger on my leg.
Oh, okay.
And my ex-husband was like, "You've already got a dragon. Get a phoenix. Get something else." And I'm like, "Yeah, no. The dragon is there. I know he's there. It's just actually finding what he looks like that was hard." And so for about a year, I tried to Google like head tattoos, and there aren't really that many awesome ones out there, I have to say. So I had to kind of have some faith in the universe, which I do this a lot. I have a lot of faith in the universe and serendipity. And it was after I moved to be back near my son. I'd been trying to find the right artist for at least a good year and a half by this point in the eastern states where I was living. And I moved to the western states, and through my son met his girlfriend's brother, who had 2 full sleeves.
Okay.
And they were really well done. They were black and white sleeves. And I asked where he got them done, and I ended up going to that tattoo studio, which was probably, half an hour, 40 minutes away.
Wow.
And when we got there, all of the senior artists were out at a tattoo show on this particular day. The funny story, the guy that was there, who was probably about my son's age, had just come off his apprenticeship. And so I started talking to him about my story and how I believe there was this dragon there, and I'm just looking for the right person to bring it out. And his whole face and eyes just lit up. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I've just made a connection. And he's like, "I'd really like to work on that with you." He goes, "I'll draw you up something unique to you, and we can get you back in and sort of put it on your head and see how you like it," and da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm going for it, because his face lit up, and no one else I had talked to had that reaction. That's what I was looking for. And so he drew this dragon for me, free form, on some paper, and it looked weird as hell, right? Because when a picture goes on a skull, which is round, of course,
Right.
when you look at it in its flat form, it's like looks munted. And I'm like, what
Right.
the hell?
Right.
And then I realized it's because it has to fit on a round
It has
surface.
to curve. Yes.
Yeah, anyway, so that's how that happened. I knew there was a dragon. I just had to find the right artist. And I actually asked my spirit guides after he was finished, what is his name? And I got his name. His name is Xander, which is Xanda. And I looked it up because I was so excited. Oh, I've got a name. I've got a name. This is cool. I looked it up. It's short for Alexander, which means protector of men, traditionally. So I thought that's a cool name. So Xander it is. And then a little bit more time passed, and the Baldwarrior needed a logo, and I asked the people doing the logo design to base it on my tattoo, because the dragon is my thing, it's my symbol, and I wanted a logo that represented that. And they designed this beautiful tribal of the dragon. You can see his face and his wings, and he's just gorgeous. And I got that tattooed on the other side of my head in Hawaii last year. So just going to add some red roses over the next few months, and my head will be finally finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who have tattoos who just keep going. So I'm just like, are you going to cover your whole head, or?
Yeah, no, I'm going to leave the top natural. Yeah, I like the top being as it is, but I never liked the sides being blank.
Okay.
And I have these tiny little ears that kind of disappear into my skull from a side-on view. So I never really was a fan of how I looked bald from the side, and hence why the tattoos both go over my ears. So I'm into enhance yourself as much as you want if it makes you feel good, because the most important thing is feeling good about yourself and self-acceptance. And for me, that's tattoos. It's not going to be for everybody.
No.
But it's worked for me. Like, I feel more powerful now than I've ever felt in my whole life. And, in the beginning, it was tough to femininity wise to feel empowered and to feel sexy as a bald woman, because hair is so much a part of what we're taught sexy is. So that was a tough one, finding my femininity and my sexy power, if you like, as a bald woman. But I think it's all about finding your own style. You just got to find your jam, and once you find that, then you can feel beautiful and sexy no matter how you look.
Right. Totally agree. And you said serendipity, and I wonder, where does that come from, your belief in serendipity?
I guess that's the other thing the dragon represents is I've been a spiritualist for many, many years. And I think that one of the ways I started to get some understanding, some peace around the deaths in my family, because, by the way, after my sister and my father, there was also an auntie who died of brain aneurysms.
Oh my God.
All of my grandparents and great-grandparents all sort of died within a decade. So we had quite a lot of family death in a fairly short period. And, I was trying to come to terms with that loss and the meaning of life, because up to this point, or that point, to be quite honest, my life had been pretty shitty. And I was like searching for some existential meaning. I'm like, it can't just be death and pain.
Right.
And so in the early days of my son being very, very young, I started out practicing doing tarot cards, and that sort of opened the door into a new world of thinking for me.
Yes.
And that evolved into some very deep-seated beliefs around spirituality, reincarnation, life purpose, soul lessons, soul families,
Speaking the language.
synchronicity, serendipity, you know, and there being a greater purpose behind a lot of things. And I have now found, about 15 years ago, a woman who's quite an amazing medium, and you know, speak to my spirit guide through her as well. Wonderful. So that's a really cool thing to do if you can find a genuine person as well, because really it can